Welcome to the Nerd BS podcast, where the BS actually stands for bite size today. That's right, we're doing a mini cast, as I like to call it. Not the microcast, Alan. Sorry, buddy. But we're doing a bite size episode where it's just going to be 30 minutes about one topic. And today's topic is Iron Man 3, the movie. And my name is Kyle. And with me, as always, we have the lovely gents. Alan,
Hey, I like bite size. Good job with that one.
thanks. Appreciate that. And Tomas?
Yeah, well, I don't like bite size, so you did no. It's a good one. Bite size is good.
Iron Man 3, the movie. We have all seen it at some point. We've seen it multiple times. We are in different camps about whether we like it or not. So let's jump into this movie. I think Alan actually watched the movie again. And so, Alan, tell us what your thoughts are on this movie.
Well, I watched it like you just said. I watched it again, and I actually enjoyed it. It did have some drier moments, but I think overall it's a solid movie, and it's actually not even close to the. Well, it's probably close. MCU is a hard one, but it's probably one of the lower end still of the MCU. But that's not saying much because a lot of the MCU is very good. But I did enjoy this movie, and I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. See what you guys thought.
What would you rate it, Alan?
We're going to start with ratings.
Yeah, I think we should start with our ratings, and then at the end we'll give our ratings again, just in case one of us brought a good point to the table.
Fair enough.
I would probably give it about a 7. Yeah, 7 out of 10, roughly.
Oh, that is pretty generous. What would you rate it, Tomas?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Kyle on that bit. It's a bit generous. If we were to go off of the very first time I saw this, I would trash this movie. I would tell you never to watch it. And even after the second time, I would have told you the very same thing. Although the second time I was bedridden with crazy pain pills. So I don't know how much of it I actually processed. The third time I saw it, I will say this. I walked away from it the third time going, okay, I'll give you a 6. The third time I actually got out, I would actually take it out of the trash, unwrinkle it, and present it to you, say, maybe.
Maybe. That's pretty good. I'm curious. I would have given it a 6 out of 10 as well. And that same kind of deal. Like, the first time I saw it, it was probably a 4. And then I rewatched it. I don't think I watched it 3 times, nor do I want to really watch it a third time.
I actually think that's really interesting because I've only watched it twice as well. I watched it the first time, then I watched it this time. I definitely was on the lower end of the spectrum the first time I watched it, and but this last time I watched, like I said, I watched it again, and I would give it a higher ranking because of that, which is really weird that the one who dislikes it the most seems to have watched it the most as well. You really hate yourself, don't you, Tomas?
That's true. Gotcha. Game over.
Yeah, well,
But you said you watched it when you were like in pain, though. Isn't that like the opposite of nostalgia? What is this? Is there a word for that where it's like associated with something bad?
bad alga, I don't know.
Bad alga, yeah. Good one.
The first time I saw it, of course, was in theaters because it came out well before everything that locked us inside happened. The second time I saw it, I was at home and I was like, I'm gonna go through all the movies again. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of them, like I said, because I was really drugged up then. But then my fiance, just a couple months ago, wanted to watch them all again, and so I saw it a third time. And I was like, well, it's better than I thought the first couple times.
So, all right, let's get into that then. Why don't we do this? Why don't we start with what we didn't like about it, and then we'll go into the good. Maybe what changed for you, Tomas, about it. And Alan, did you always like it? Did you like it the first time you watched it too?
No, I actually I was along on the bandwagon of everybody kind of hating this movie. But it wasn't until maybe a year or so ago that I was listening to a podcast, IGN UK, and they brought up a point that was interesting to me, that apparently for some reason Americans really hate this movie, but yet they all seem to enjoy it, which really sparked my
Oh,
curiosity. And so watching it
yeah.
again, just because I was like, huh, why is that? Like, why did it just become like the buzz over here to just hate on this movie? And so I really wanted to go into it with a clear, open mind, away from everybody else's opinions, just to kind of see where I would lay on it, without all that noise.
I see. I'll tell you why everyone hates it is because, and this was in the pitch meeting video, was that the villain, the Mandarin, uh,
Yeah,
we got juked.
that is a
We got juked out
huge
of that.
part of it.
Yeah,
I will be honest, that is a massive part of it.
and I think that exactly is the problem with the film entirely, because when I'm watching it a second time, I think you actually brought this up to me a while ago, was that when you know that that is going to happen, uh, it's not as bad. It definitely feels like almost a weight has been lifted, because you already know where the bad part of the movie is, which is that weird reveal. Now the reveal itself is not
Right.
even that bad. It's the fact that this is a terrorist organization, and they decide to use the word Mandarin to basically, they are trying to trick the audience, which is the part that
Right.
makes it bad. And if they could have just used it, a blanket terrorist organization, did not have to be Mandarin, but as soon as you throw that name out there, everybody's going to expect a specific character. And that right there, I think, is the worst part about the movie. And I think you are correct that that's probably why it people hate it so much or dislike it so much.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind that Ben Kingsley was just a phony. I thought he actually played it well and was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, well then the real Mandarin, will you please
Mhm.
stand up, right? Like
Yeah.
we, every Iron Man fan knows about the
Yeah.
Mandarin of some sort with the rings and all that, and it's like, okay, you didn't. It's not like you messed it up, but you just didn't do it at all, and
Yeah.
that was a big point off for me originally.
Here's why I had such a problem with the Mandarin being what it was. First of all, I can't say this without pointing this out. The tone shift when we find out who the Mandarin is, it changes drastically. We're going through this movie
True,
with very
true,
serious things happening. Tony's freaking out. He can't keep himself controlled. We've got a terrorist showing us this really scary stuff going on. And through that whole part of this movie, we're on this journey of this kind of gritty reality. And then right then we get smacked in the face with like, oh, this has all been a joke. It's like, well, how much of it's been a joke then? Like, and
yeah.
it didn't sit well with me.
I disagree with that, actually. I mean, besides the name Mandarin, uh, that was actually the lightest part of the movie, really, was that point, and it was a depressing tale. I think we needed of, a little bit of reprieve. This was an organization that was killing people. I mean, not to mention Tony was going through all this stuff. Like, we were dealing with a lot of things, and of course, we need something to bring us out of this darkness. I mean, it is a Marvel movie at the end of the day. We need some light.
I think what brought us out of the darkness was the whole Home Alone episode part of it. Like, he's coming in there with Jingle Bell Rocks going on. I mean, he's throwing ornaments at people. Like,
It is a
Well,
Christmas
it is a
movie,
Christmas
by the
movie.
way.
Yeah, it is a Christmas
but my
movie.
point is that we had levity there. We had levity with Happy and the iPad where he's
Yeah,
messing
but that's all
around
the
with it.
same that's all the same part, though.
My point is, in my personal opinion, I felt like the levity was fine. My other issue with the whole Iron Man Mandarin thing was, to me being shown Mandarin like that would be like someone telling me, all right, here, we got a Batman movie coming out with an amazing Joker, just crazy Joker. And you sit down and you start watching it, and it's like, oh my word, this Joker, when are they going to show this Joker? Oh, there's a clip of that Joker. Come on, Joker, Joker, Joker. And then you get to Joker, and Joker Calendar Man. Like, what?
Yeah, good in.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that the Arkham game? One of those Arkham games, and it turned out to be Clayface.
Yeah, and
That was actually good. I thought they did. That was a good one. Anyways,
we've all agreed about the Mandarin. Yes, that sucked.
Yeah.
But taking that out of the movie, that the movie itself is still a good movie without that one, prank, if you will.
can you? But I agree with Tomas. You can't take that out of the movie, though. Like that's like saying, well, pizza, is still good without the cheese. It's like, no, it's not. That's a cracker with sauce on it.
It's garlic bread.
I agree
But
with Tomas
anyways,
that I agree with Tomas though. Fair enough on that one. But when that like kind of sucked the air out of the story, when I watch it, and it like from then on out, I was like, does this really even matter anymore? And maybe that was the point. Like Tony was supposed to learn, like, oh, this stuff really doesn't matter, and that's why he destroyed all his suits. But
Oh my word! Don't get me started on the suits.
yeah, we'll get there. But I get what you're saying. Like it definitely changed the tone of the movie, and I didn't like it.
then you're not gonna like the movie then, and that's the point. Is if that's the reason you don't like the movie, then it's already in there. There's nothing else that's gonna change your mind.
It's a bad movie then.
That's fine. I do like the end villain. He was actually pretty interesting, and I actually watching this after watching Captain or Falcon and Winter Soldier. I actually got a lot of remnants of that. Like that storyline is actually derivative from this movie because you get a character who's searching to find his way in this super powered world where all he's relying on is technology, and he's dealing with this super powered enemy, and he's trying to live up to that. Like his whole PTSD.
You're talking about Tony, right?
Yeah, Tony. His whole PTSD is he's just a man, and he's dealing with working with these extraordinary heroes, and now trying to basically figure out how to help the world without any fantastic powers. So this movie actually follows a lot of the same beats as Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I thought was fascinating.
Right. And they got to drag it out a little bit more, which was cool.
Yeah.
In all the episodes, and bring in all the extra characters. I agree with you. That was actually one of the good things I wrote down. That whole story, his struggle as Iron Man, his identity with Iron Man, his identity as Pepper Potts' lover. I don't think they were married yet. No, because he pops it with and Spider-Man, right? Is when he does that. But like that whole thing, I actually enjoyed that part of the story too, as well, Alan. Like, and again, like going back to the point where like I guess it doesn't all matter, and I'm going to destroy all my suits, but not really, not all of them, because we got more movies.
Yeah, it was more watching it again, and I know people bring up the blowing up the suits, but he doesn't like say he's not going to be Iron Man anymore. He's basically destroying the hobby he's been focusing his life on, and he's not saying he's saying he's basically starting over from scratch, which I felt was fine. I thought that was actually it was basically opening a new Tony essentially, which is creating a new Iron Man.
To me, just real quick, Alan, I'm not trying to cut you off, but to me that sounds like you're starting to go to the good stuff. And I do have some good stuff about this movie too. I just do have one other large gripe with this movie besides the Mandarin. And the other large gripe with this movie was I felt that a lot, not all, but a lot of the humor was really rammed down your throat. Like, laugh. Are you laughing yet? Laugh. Like, and it was kind of to me off putting. I didn't like it. But of course, I didn't like the massive amounts of comedy that I found in Ragnarok. So it could be just me. but I'm just saying that's another
Yeah,
Yeah.
thing
you just
that I
don't like
didn't like.
humor.
Oh yeah, hate humor by far.
It's starting to
Well,
feel
yeah.
that way.
No, I didn't say all the moments. I just didn't like the ramming it down your throat. Like the part where he's waiting for his suit, he does that same joke, that same like, and here it comes, and you're I'm sorry, and
Oh,
here we
yeah.
go. He does that 4 times.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
All right, the first time's funny. The second time, nah. Third time, come on, man. Fourth time, give him the goddamn
don't
suit.
I don't know. I enjoyed
So
that
it's
actually.
just, and there's other moments like that in
Yeah.
that movie too. And I, I don't want to pick out every little thing though, because, like I said, there are good aspects of it too. But those were my two biggest gripes.
Well, let me say one because I didn't really mind it, but I think I get what you're saying with the humor of like it's almost like they had these boxes they
Yeah.
needed to check when making it. Like we gotta have the humor in there, gotta have the jokes. I get what you're saying, but I didn't mind
Mhm.
it while watching it. I think they're trying to go more serious and maybe we're stuck with like, well, we got to keep it lighthearted because it is Marvel, like you said. I don't like it's a Marvel movie at
Mhm.
the end of the day, so there's got to be can't be all
Yeah.
DC brooding.
Yeah, there's some really dark stuff too.
Yeah, I thought that was all good though. I like that, but the one
No,
thing
it's
that
fine. I'm just saying there's some really heavy dark stuff, which is why they needed some counterbalance.
eh,
Like there's suicide bombers in this movie. I mean, essentially, which is pretty
yeah,
dark.
that's why they did that. I think they could have gone the other way and it would have been fine, like gone all dark. But anyways, when Pepper quote unquote dies, I actually was like, you know what? That sucks because I like Pepper as a character. I like Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. But I was like, dang, that's going to change Tony Stark altogether, you know? And then she
Yeah,
didn't, and I was like, oh, I thought that was really lame, and that to me capped it as like, okay, that's stupid. Like
it kind of
too
set it up
many,
though, because
too
they
many
showed the
strikes.
powers and everything. I mean, they kind of really set that up
I
heavily.
know, but
But I
I thought
understand what you're
maybe they
saying,
would
though.
do it.
Yeah.
Bringing that up, Alan, about how they kind of set it up with her powers and stuff. Do we ever see her like get rid of those powers? Because we never see her use them again.
Yeah, we don't. I don't think we see her again. I
Yeah,
mean, when do we see her
she
again?
puts the Guardian suit on, but that has nothing to do with her new flame powers.
Yeah, but that's all we saw. We didn't see her do anything
She
else. I mean, she hasn't done
beat
anything else
the
in the MCU.
crap out of Killian, dude. She has super
No,
strength.
no, not in the movie. We don't see her again in the MCU. We haven't seen her since.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought she was in Endgame.
Yeah, she
A
was
little
that
bit in the
for a
Guardian
little
suit.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
for like a little bit.
Yeah,
But she doesn't use her powers because she's in an Iron Man suit.
yeah, because I mean that's she's lucky she got that screen
Really? Because
time.
I was kind of like, well, that just really feels like a open-ended thing. You kind of just gave her powers and then never go back to it.
Yeah. There's actually some really heavy problems with the film as well. For instance, I didn't like the AIM MIA thing. That was really weird. It came out of nowhere.
Mhm.
There was a couple times where they were chasing him, and it didn't really make sense how
Hmm.
they figured out where he was.
Yeah.
There was there's another inconsistency. Oh yeah, the armor is like for some reason that scene that you hated so much, but I actually didn't mind. But I didn't like the part where like two pieces of the armor do go to him, but yet the rest of them are locked in the garage for some reason. That was really bizarre. Just because
Yeah,
of the fact, like, why, how do those two get out then? There's weird little inconsistencies like that that actually bothered me more than anything about the Mandarin, just because I was already over that.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with you. There I didn't want to nitpick all the little inconsistencies because there are actually a lot. But yeah, I just chose those main two big things because those main two big things were what really pulled the movie down for me. But in terms of good stuff, Alan, you had I'm pretty sure a lot of good stuff to talk about. You seem to have some good stuff to talk about. So why don't you open that up? Like, why don't you start us on the good stuff, man?
Well, obviously, I liked his journey. I liked the whole his whole experience with the kid. That was actually very interesting. I really liked the detective stuff, which was interesting. Which I really enjoyed him trying to figure that out, even though it was kind of
Yeah,
odd.
it was
Mhm.
fun.
I really did enjoy the a little bit of looking into AIM, even though the AIM MIA thing on the paper was really weird. But I did enjoy that we were actually getting into AIM, but I don't think we've really done anything with AIM since,
No, we haven't.
which is kind of upsetting. Yeah, which I'm curious to see when we're
Yeah.
going to.
Where would you put it? You know?
Yeah, right now it doesn't really work out. There's nowhere to do it right now. But anyways, we're focusing on AIM a little bit, which was really cool. I really liked War Machine or Iron Patriot. His character stuff and development in this movie was actually really
Yeah.
good. Um,
He was cool too. I actually forgot about him though. Now that you mention him.
yeah, he's in the movie quite a bit actually.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, he is.
And even though I know you don't like the explosion of the suits, I really enjoyed all the suits he kept switching around with, which is actually a really cool scene at the end when he keeps switching to different
That was.
suits,
It was
which I thought was really cool. That we got so many different types of suits in like a small amount of time. Uh, it would have been really cool if they gave War Machine a suit to use, which they did eventually, but he was kind of
Yeah.
left out of the
I
cold in that
agree.
fight.
That was kind of annoying.
so I watched one place that was talking about the movie Iron Man 3. It's called Screen Rants. I don't know if you guys have heard. You guys have probably heard this, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and at one point, Rhodey's talking to Iron Man, and he's like, "All right, man, hook me up with one of those." And Iron Man's like, "Sorry, they're only programmed to me." And then the voice of the Screen
Yeah.
Rant guy goes, "Well, and to Pepper and to Killian, man, these suits are racist." No, but I agree with you, Alan. I thought the part with the suits was all the suits was cool. I wish we had more time with all the suits. I felt like it
Yeah.
was such a quick reveal that I was really kind of like, ugh. And I do remember the first time I watched this movie, that was one of my huge gripes. I was like, he has all these suits and he's walking around with this dinky little thing trying to get it to work. And then the second time, well, actually, not the second time, the third time I watched it, I realized, oh, it was because there was that huge rock over his vault. But like, but
I will say to counteract that thing you just said, which actually doesn't make any sense because the only suit that Killian uses is the Iron Patriot suit, which is run by the government, whereas his suits are him and Pepper, which is his girlfriend at the time.
no, I think he's
So
talking
that does
about.
make
I
sense.
think he's talking about the point when he puts the suit onto Killian, because there's a point where he makes the suit go off of
Yeah,
him.
because he told it to.
Yeah, I know, which
Yeah, he
technically
told it
means
to,
he
though.
could have told any suit to go onto
Oh, he
Rhodey.
never said he couldn't. He was a joke. He was taking it away from him.
I'm just saying.
Like that was the
Right.
idea.
But that's. I think Tomas was just
Yeah,
joking.
I was just
as
I was
well.
just having a laugh at that
I'm
point.
just putting a hole in that whole argument. But anyways, but either
But
way,
it was annoying that like he was there and he didn't join the fight. I
yeah, he
agree
could
with
have.
Tomas as that scene was really fun,
Yeah, I
but
like that
it
scene a lot.
was why do we get it at the last minute? I don't mind that he blew him up, but I just could it have been
Yeah,
maybe a little bit
longer
more
of a
throughout the
fight.
movie
Yeah,
or another scene prior to where like
that
half
would
of
have
them
been
blow
cool.
up and then I don't know.
Another scene where he maybe used a few of them for something. Like, yeah. But the other thing that I really liked about this movie, honestly, and I don't think either of you have really touched on it yet, so I'm kind of glad. So I'll get to the other thing I really liked about this movie is I liked the use of multiple villains.
Hmm.
It wasn't too many bad guys at once. I was disappointed that the Mandarin wasn't the Mandarin, but I thought they handled having two very large villains, except for the way they revealed that one villain, really well.
Yeah.
They had one major villain controlling another major villain, and you thought it was the little guy the whole time. I thought it was done great.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's all these other movies, especially DC, where they're just like, how many villains can we get in this? 5? Let's try and double it. Yeah,
Just
10. Let's do
just
10.
just for fun.
So I really liked that about this.
That was actually my other good point because I wrote down the good and the bad, right? And the other good point was that the turnaround with the Mandarin was actually done well. Like you said, you knew that Killian was, sneaky, but you thought he was a small guy, and
Yeah.
it got me. And I'll be honest, I'm gonna toot my own horn a little bit. I don't get got in movies that much anymore, unless they're horror, scary movies, because I can't do those. I just freak out if they're scary. But general movies, I kind of see what's coming around the corner. This one got me, and I give it kudos for that. And
Yeah.
and when you watch it again, you're like, okay, I see what you did there. That's pretty clever. And so I
Yeah.
agree with you. That's smart.
It was they basically had one villain, which was probably something I really would like to see more of anyways. I don't like doing multiple villains that much. I mean, it's nice when they're developed characters
love
that
it.
have been in the previous, unless it's Batman Returns. I mean, best use of multiple villains. But
Oh my god.
Batman
but
and Robin. Hello,
goodness.
anybody?
That is actually
No.
really it's 3 villains. I mean, right there, and it's the best
3.
portrayal of
Yeah.
Bane. But we can talk about that another time. Anyways,
Honestly, the biggest villain in that was the nipples. All right, that was the biggest villain in that whole film.
hey,
Yeah.
and that is a developed character because it came from Forever. But anyways,
Oh.
anyways,
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to counteract you guys because I like that you guys are saying something positive about it. It is done. The villain's done well, but I will say that I think the only way that worked is because they drowned it out by calling him the Mandarin. I mean, it's the same problem. Is that the only reason you even thought about that guy twice is because they kept calling him the Mandarin. Like it
Because they
drowned
go,
it out.
Yeah, but I mean, that's how is he going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. You couldn't have done it with a lesser villain.
Yeah, you couldn't have done that with a lesser villain, but that's kind of, but did that point save it enough for the fact that Mandarin was in it but not in it? I mean,
well, I
right
don't know,
there.
because they kind of did the same thing in Iron Man 2, where they had Hammer Industries, which is another group that usually gives Iron Man a lot of trouble, and then they had this Whiplash dude. And so
You're
I
right.
felt
It
like
was similar, I guess.
yeah, I felt like they could have done it with a lesser hero because they did it before. But
No,
I mean,
but you
Yes, I
weren't
don't know.
surprised by that.
yeah, I guess you
You
wouldn't have been
saw all that
surprised by it.
coming. You knew
Yeah.
that the Whiplash was kind of taking over. You knew
Yeah, it's true.
he's not getting kidnapped for
Well, yeah, because
no
Hammer
reason.
was such a joke, man.
Yeah.
And I think there's something random I thought about while watching this movie that I kind of wanted to end with. Is this? I think this could have been a really good Hawkeye movie. Like overall, I think this storyline would have actually been a really good
That's
Hawkeye
interesting.
movie.
Dang,
You know,
you nailed it on the head.
Yeah, I actually think it would have
when I
been
was
good.
watching it, I kept thinking, what would be really good for this type of character development? Hawkeye. Hawkeye would
Yeah,
have been
it
really
fits
good.
it.
Because we never got a Hawkeye movie.
No.
And he's hardly ever in a suit anyways. Sorry, I had to take one more jab. Sorry. But I mean, yeah, it would have been a good Hawkeye movie. I think
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah. So Iron Man 3, what should have been Hawkeye's movie. You know what? After we talked about it, I'm gonna leave it at 6 out of 10, even though I dropped it to 5. What about you guys?
I'm gonna have to keep it there at a 6, but I will say I'm 10 out of 10ing the Hawkeye idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's a great idea.
What's that face swap thing they got?
Oh man, what's it called? Oh gosh.
Deep fake.
Deep fake.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I would stick with the 7 out of 10. I did enjoy the film overall, and it is better than at least Thor: Dark World and Captain Marvel. So,
Ooh, setting up the next bite-size episode. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoy it.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.